Did you know that a single touch, one that lasts less than 3 seconds, can completely shift the way a woman feels about you? Not in a small way, not in a, oh, that was nice kind of way. I mean, it can change something deep inside her, something she might not even be able to explain to herself. And this is not poetry. This is not me trying to be romantic or sell you on some fantasy. This is literally how the human brain works. This is biology. This is chemistry. This is thousands of years of how our bodies learned to talk to each other before we even had words to use. And yet, most men walk through their entire lives never figuring this out. They spend years trying to say the right thing, buying the right dinner, wearing the right clothes, and still somehow ending up in the friend zone or watching someone they really cared about slowly drift away. Not because they were bad people, not because they weren't trying hard enough, but because nobody ever sat them down and told them the truth about how a woman actually feels a real connection. So today, I want to do that for you. I want to walk you through 7 very specific touches backed by real science that can genuinely change the way a woman experiences being around you. And I promise you, some of what I share today is going to surprise you. Because the most powerful ones on this list are not the big dramatic gestures. They are the quiet ones, the tiny ones, the ones that happen in a moment so small, most people would walk right past it without noticing. But before I get into all of that, I need to talk about something that most people in this space are too afraid to say directly. A woman who has lived, who has experienced things, who has been through real relationships with real heartbreak and real disappointment, she is not moved by words anymore. She has heard all of them. Every single compliment that exists, she has probably received it. Every sweet text message, every candle-lit dinner where a nervous man said exactly what he thought she wanted to hear, she has been through all of it. And somewhere along the way, she stopped trusting words because she learned that words are easy. Words cost nothing. Anyone can say anything. What she responds to now is something entirely different, something older and deeper than language. It is the way you touch her, but not just any kind of touching, not the careless kind or the rushed kind or the kind that is really just about what you want. I am talking about very specific, intentional, conscious touches that speak directly to a part of her brain she cannot fully control. Touches that tell her things like, you are safe here, and I actually see you, and I am not going anywhere without you ever having to open your mouth and say a single word. There was a fascinating study done by a researcher named Dr. Dacher Keltner at UC Berkeley. He had complete strangers try to communicate emotions through touch alone. No words, no facial expressions. They couldn't even see each other's faces. One person would touch the other person's arm for just a moment, and the other person would try to guess what emotion was being communicated. And the results were honestly shocking. People correctly identified emotions like love, gratitude, and sympathy up to 78% of the time just from touch alone. Think about what that actually means. Your hands are better at saying, I care about you than your mouth is. Your touch lands in places inside her that your words simply cannot reach. And once you really understand that, once it clicks for you on a deep level, everything about how you connect with women changes. So let me take you through these 7 touches one by one, and I want you to really stay with me here because 2 of the ones on this list are going to seem so simple that your first instinct will be to skip past them and assume they don't matter. I am asking you right now, please don't do that. Those are the exact ones that mature women have told me. Over and over again, make them feel things they struggle to even find words for. And the last one, number 7, is something that marriage therapists and relationship researchers actually prescribe to couples who are on the edge of falling apart. It has a measurable physical effect on the body. I will explain exactly why when we get there. Let's start at the beginning. The first touch is something I want you to think of as the slow lower back guide. And I need you to understand right away that this is not about being polite or holding a door open. This goes much deeper than etiquette. The lower back is one of the most nerve-dense areas of the entire human body. There is a massive network of nerve endings there that connects directly to the emotional centers of the brain, which means that when someone touches you in that spot, the message doesn't travel through your thinking brain first. It goes straight to the part of you that feels, the part that decides if something is safe or not safe, the part that is keeping score of how a person makes you feel, even when your logical mind is talking about something completely different. So when you place your hand gently on the small of a woman's back, maybe when you are guiding her through a doorway or standing together in a crowded room or walking side by side into somewhere new, you are sending a signal that bypasses every wall she has built up. And the way you do it matters more than whether you do it. A quick nervous pat feels like something a distant family member would do. It feels impersonal. A heavy-handed push feels controlling, like you are trying to steer her around like she doesn't have her own direction. But a slow, warm, steady hand that rests there with just enough weight to say, "I am right here with you," that sends something completely different. Her nervous system reads it as safety. Her brain starts releasing oxytocin, which is the chemical her body uses to create feelings of bonding and attachment, and she begins to associate that calm feeling with you specifically. For a woman who has spent years being the strong one, who has learned to carry everything on her own because she had to, who has been let down enough times that she stopped expecting anyone to show up for her, this touch lands like a statement. It says you don't have to hold everything together right now. And for a woman who is tired in the deepest way, tired not from lack of sleep, but from years of doing it all alone, that message is one of the most romantic things she has ever felt. Not heard, felt. The second touch is the two-handed handhold. Now I know what you are thinking. Holding hands is nothing new. Teenagers at the park hold hands. But this is different in a very specific way, and the difference is everything. This is not just your hand taking hers. This is both of your hands wrapping around her one hand. Her hand is completely held, completely cradled. And you do this not while you are walking around or being distracted by the world around you. You do this during a quiet moment, a real conversation. A moment where she has just said something honest or vulnerable or important. The reason this works so powerfully is that it sends a signal to her nervous system that you are fully present, not halfway there, not thinking about something else. You are here, completely with her. Therapists who work with trauma use similar techniques because the sensation of being fully held by another person's hands triggers the same pathways in the brain that are associated with feeling genuinely safe. And for a woman who has spent too much time with men whose bodies were in the room but whose minds were somewhere else entirely, this changes everything. She has sat across from people who looked at their phones while she was talking. She has shared things that mattered to her and watched the other person sort of half listen and move on. When you hold her hand in both of yours and look at her while she speaks, her brain registers something it hasn't felt in a long time. Someone is actually here. Someone is actually listening with their whole self. And from that moment, you stop being just another person she knows. You become someone different, someone worth paying attention to. The third touch is one that most men would never think to try, and that is exactly why it is so powerful. It is the forehead touch. Not a kiss on the forehead, although those are lovely too, but the act of gently pressing your forehead against hers. You both go still. Your eyes close on their own. The noise of everything around you seems to fade out. Your breathing starts to match without you trying to make it happen. It is one of the most quietly intense moments two people can share. Dr. Sue Johnson, who spent decades researching how humans form emotional bonds, talks about what she calls attachment moments. These are small interactions that activate the same bonding system inside us that developed when we were babies and needed to feel close to someone to survive. Touching foreheads is one of the most direct ways two adults can access that system with each other. It requires you to be close enough that there is nowhere to hide. It requires you to slow down completely. It requires you to be willing to be seen at zero distance. For a woman who has spent years with her guard up, who has built careful walls around herself because the world kept giving her reasons to, this touch is like a gentle knock on a door she forgot was even there. It doesn't demand anything from her. It doesn't push her anywhere. It just says, I am here, and I am not in a hurry, and nothing outside of this moment matters right now. A man who can do that, who can sit in that kind of quiet closeness without making a joke out of nervousness or rushing to fill the silence, that man shows a kind of emotional maturity that most women have stopped believing they would ever find. The fourth touch is one that feels almost unfair to know about because it works on a level that most people are completely unaware of. This is the back of the neck touch, right at the hairline. That spot where the neck meets the hair is packed with nerve endings, and because it is a place we literally cannot see ourselves, there is an instinctive vulnerability that comes with being touched there. It carries a charge of both excitement and trust at the exact same moment, and that combination is extraordinarily rare. Most things you can do or say create one or the other. This one creates both simultaneously. When you place your hand or your fingers gently at the back of her neck while you are sitting close together or while you lean in to say something just to her, her brain runs through a very fast assessment. Is this safe? Do I trust this person? Does this feel right? If the answer is yes to all three, the effect is immediate and physical. Her breathing shifts. Her body releases a rush of the chemicals associated with attraction and attachment. The experience is not something she is consciously choosing. It is something her body decides in a fraction of a second. And a mature woman, a woman with experience, recognizes exactly what that moment means. She knows the difference between a touch that feels earned and a touch that feels presumptuous. When yours feels earned, when it comes at the right moment after she already trusts you, it does not just feel good. It signals to her that you are the kind of man who understands restraint, confidence, and care all at the same time. That is an incredibly compelling combination. Now we have arrived at the fifth touch, the one I mentioned right at the start. The one that made me say it almost feels like cheating. This is called the thumb stroke, and once I explain how it works, you will understand why I said that. You are already holding her hand or your hand is resting on her arm. Nothing dramatic is happening. You might be watching something together or having a regular conversation or just sitting quietly in the same space. And then, without making any announcement and without even looking at your hand, you just begin moving your thumb, slowly, back and forth, a gentle, rhythmic motion against her skin. Here is why this matters so much. Human skin contains specialized nerve fibers that specifically respond to slow, gentle stroking. These nerves, sometimes called C-tactile afferents, send signals directly to the part of the brain that processes social bonding and emotional closeness. Researchers in Sweden conducted studies showing that this particular type of slow touch activates the same neural pathways involved in deep intimacy, which means that the slow movement of your thumb is literally turning on the part of her brain that makes her feel bonded to someone. And here's what makes it feel almost magical. Because you are not drawing attention to it, because you are just doing it while you talk about ordinary things, she does not process it consciously as a strategy. She just starts to feel something, a warmth toward you, a sense of comfort that she cannot quite explain, a feeling that being around you is somehow different from being around other people. She starts to think of you as naturally gentle and naturally present. And that belief that you are just this way, that this is simply who you are and you are not performing anything, is what makes her feelings for you grow roots instead of just sparks. For a woman who has been through relationships where affection was conditional or absent or performed only when someone wanted something, the quiet consistency of this kind of touch speaks louder than any grand gesture ever could. She has seen the grand gestures. She knows they fade. But a man who moves his thumb gently across her skin while talking about something completely mundane, that man makes her feel something she had almost given up looking for. She feels like she simply matters. Not because of what she does or how she looks that day or what she can offer, just because she is there. That is everything. The sixth touch is what I think of as the silent pull. And what I love about this one is how much it communicates without a single word being exchanged. This is when you are sitting or standing near her and you simply, quietly, bring her closer. You put your arm around her and pull her gently in. You place a hand at her waist and close the distance between you. There is no speech attached to it, no announcement. You just decide the space between you is too much and you close it. Researchers who study attachment theory talk about something called proximity seeking, and it is one of the clearest signs of a genuine, healthy emotional bond. When someone instinctively wants to reduce the physical space between themselves and another person, that is the body expressing attachment before the mind has even had time to form a sentence about it. When you pull her closer without needing a reason to explain it, you are showing her in the most honest way possible that you simply want her near you. Not because she earned it that day. Not because you were trying to move things in a certain direction. Just because you want her right there. For a woman who has spent years feeling like she had to earn closeness, like she had to look right or act right or be in a certain mood before someone would actually want her nearby, this small motion rewrites something deep in her. It tells her she is wanted exactly as she is, in this moment, right now, without having to do anything to deserve it. That feeling, for many women, is something they have been quietly starving for without even fully realizing it. When you give it to her without making it a big moment, without framing it or explaining it or asking for credit, it lands in a place inside her that most people never even reach. And now we have arrived at number 7. I saved this one for the end because, in my honest opinion, it is the most important and the most powerful of everything on this list. This is the long hug. And I want to be very clear about what I mean, because a short hug and a long hug are not the same thing in any way. A short hug, the kind you give someone at the end of an event, or the quick squeeze hello, that is lovely and it matters. But it is not what I am talking about. What I am talking about is a hug where both of your arms are fully wrapped around her. Her arms are fully around you. Your chests are in contact, and you stay there. You hold it. You do not pull back after 2 seconds. You do not start to let go and then change your mind. You just stay for at least 20 seconds. That specific number is not arbitrary. Scientists studying the neurochemistry of physical touch have found that hugs lasting 20 seconds or longer trigger a significant release of oxytocin while simultaneously lowering cortisol, which is the primary stress hormone in the human body. What this means in plain language is that a long hug does not just feel emotionally comforting, it produces measurable physical changes in her body. Her heart rate slows down. Her blood pressure drops. Her muscles release tension she might not have even known she was holding. Her body physically moves from a state of guarding and vigilance to a state of openness and calm. She goes from defended to open in 20 seconds because of the way you hold her. This is why therapists who help couples rebuild after serious conflict specifically instruct them to hold each other for a long time without speaking. It is not a sweet idea or a soft suggestion. It is a clinically recognized tool for rebuilding emotional safety between two people. Because when you hold someone long enough, the body starts to remember what safety feels like. And it starts to attach that feeling to the person doing the holding. For a woman who has been carrying a lot, and most women who have lived enough have been carrying a lot, a long and genuine hug is something almost indescribably powerful. She may have spent years being the one who holds everyone else together. She may have become so good at being strong that the people around her forgot she needed to feel held too. She may have learned to cry in private and handle everything in public and keep moving no matter what. When you hold her long enough that she stops thinking and starts feeling, when she realizes you are not in a hurry to let go, something in her releases. Not because she is weak, but because for the first time and longer than she might want to admit, she does not have to be strong right this second. Someone has got her, and she can just breathe. If you can be the man who gives her that feeling, genuinely and without agenda, She will carry it with her long after the moment ends. She will think about it when she is alone. She will compare every other experience to how that felt. And she will choose you not because you were the most impressive person she met, but because you made her feel something real. Something she had almost stopped believing was still available to her. These 7 touches are not tricks. I want to be really clear about that. They are not manipulation techniques. They are a language. The oldest language human beings have. They are the way we told each other we were safe before we had enough words to say it out loud. And learning to speak that language, learning to speak it with patience and warmth and genuine intention, does not make you someone who is playing a game. It makes you someone who is actually showing up. Someone who is present enough to go beyond the surface of things. Someone who understands that love is not mostly said. It is mostly felt. And the beautiful thing is that none of this requires money or status or looking a certain way. It requires attention. It requires care. It requires you to slow down long enough to notice the person in front of you and make her feel, through something as simple as the way your hands hold hers or the way your thumb moves slowly across her skin, that she is not just in the room with someone. She is with someone who actually sees her, who is actually there. That is rarer than people want to admit. And when a woman finds it, she holds onto it with everything she has.